So I'm Davina, and this is Graham is here also from Spring, but Lana has put us all together also here. So Lana, if you want to say a word of welcome.
Sure, yeah, I'm very happy to. My name is Lana. I'm Executive Director with Yukon Society, and kind of also hosting with Lauren with the Innovation and Entrepreneurship team from Yukon University. I don't think she's quite signed on yet, but I'm sure she'll be here soon. But happy to kind of give a welcome on both of our behalves. We're really passionate about having this conversation today, and we're really pumped that the Spring team is here and that the Yukon Investment Challenge has gone live. It's something that, as we've been building programs, we've got our boot camps running, we've got Incubate North. We do a lot of one-on-one entrepreneur sessions as well, just to coach, help support entrepreneurs and new businesses. And over the past few years, one of the biggest gaps we've really found is that, although there's great access to different grants and maybe some traditional forms of funding, there isn't as much availability or an ecosystem in the Yukon around local investment going into local businesses. So it's something that we've been excited to work on, ourselves, along with, I see Barrett's here with the Yukon Venture Angels. The Yukon Venture Angels are part of supporting this initiative as well, because we all really want to see a really thriving local ecosystem where investors, local people, everyday people can invest in local companies and support economic development by supporting the entrepreneurs and the businesses in our communities. So that's just a little bit about why we're passionate about it. And I know that the next hour will be all about why this might be a great benefit and fit for your business. So I won't go into that, but thanks for being here. And maybe at the end of the session too, we have two team members here, Kat Kelly and Daniel Tan, who can support and help you if you're not sure if this is right for you, as well as the Spring team. So maybe at the end we can do a quick hello from them as well.
Oh yeah, perfect.
And I'll let you take it away. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So let me share my screen here. Great. So thank you for this great intro, Alana, and kind of a word of context and where how this program fits. I'm Davina McPhail. I work for Spring Activator. I'm going to be the program manager for this investor challenge. So I've been an investor myself in this challenge, and so I'm really excited to bring this also with these great partners to the Yukon and kind of run you through this. I'm here with Graham, my colleague. Maybe Graham, you want to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Davina. Hi, everyone. I'm Graham. For those that don't know me, I'm director at Spring Activator. Davina and I both work on the investment team, and really excited to be here. We've been talking with Lana and Lauren about doing this for quite a while, and been putting slowly the pieces together on the back of just incredible work from Yukon University and Yukon Struct. So we're so happy to be here, and as Lana alluded to, it really trying to put together the ecosystem in this way and take a bit of the mystery out of investing for, as Lana said, everyday people that want to be involved, and also importantly for your cases, direct real funding in a timely manner to entrepreneurs and companies that need capital to grow. And so creating this program as a pathway to do that in a very concrete and time-bound way is our objective here, and hopefully this will be the first of many. Back to you, Davina.
So just a quick agenda for today. So we'll be going through an overview of the program to give you, for those of you who are hearing all this for the first time, to give you an overview of the program. Then we have Erin Millar, who is the CEO of IndieGraph, who is one of the winner of one of our past challenges, who is going to be here. So she's already here to share her experience doing this program as an entrepreneur and answer any questions that you might have. And then we'll have a Q&A and wrap-up session So this is the agenda. Just give you a brief overview of Spring. Spring is objective is to change the world through innovation. We are B Corp certified and 1% for the Planet certified. It means that we distribute 1% of our revenues to a non-for-profit every year. We've worked in many different places of the world. We've been very lucky to do that. In Canada, of course, which is our where we are based, in Vancouver, our head office, but we've been also active in Southeast Asia and Europe, supporting entrepreneur support organization in these different places. So as I just mentioned, we Spring supports entrepreneurs through various acceleration programs, and also investors, so through these impact investor challenges. So we've trained over 100 investors since the start, and we've supported over 2,000 entrepreneurs. And we support ecosystem partners to build and also support other entrepreneurs. This is our team. Some of you might have met Keith Ippel in the past, who has come to the Yukon, and Mary Matthews also, who has been active in building this relationship. So what is the investment challenge? So I just kind of have a few slides to describe the program. Basically, the Investor Challenge is a 10 weeks program. So we train both investors and companies to reach together an endpoint and find develop an investment together in a way. So this program is run. So it's 10 weeks, but it's only 2 hours session every week. But these sessions are structured with content, guest speakers, and opportunities for entrepreneurs and investors to discuss together and develop through for the end part of the program, which is a pitching contest, and where a winning company will be awarded the investment of the pool of investors. So as we've tried to describe here, we are here now in February in the application period. This is when, so we are kind of now describing this program to you and kind of giving you more insight, both for entrepreneurs, but also we're doing the same on the investor side. We will then have the idea is at the end of February is to select the entrepreneurs who will get into the program. And then at the end of March, we start the actual program itself with these weekly sessions that I just described for 10 weeks. And so the program will have quite early on in this program, there will be pitching sessions. So the companies have the opportunity to pitch in front of the investors, and the investors will select from depending on the number of applicants, from 10 to 10 companies, if there are 10, to 3 finalists. And then these finalists will go through the program with the investors reaching towards the final pitch and the winner selection at the end of May.
Mm-hmm. Well described. I just thought I would complement that by saying that we're in those weekly sessions, we're trying to create this a learning space, but also a safe space for you, the entrepreneurs, to talk to investors on this sort of weekly cadence, get to know each other better, feed them the news that's happening with your company, answer their questions as they come up. So they're on a learning journey, learning about you, you're learning about them. So rather than sort of one make or break night, that's why this is stretched into this 10-week program where you're learning about each other, and then the investors come together and make a decision of where they would like that pooled investment to go towards. So there is, as we always say, there is one direct investment that will be made, but there are in effect many winners, because our objective is to expose you as companies to as big as an investor ecosystem as possible. So you'll get to know all the investors in the group, but through some of the more public events, you'll also get to know more. And so even if you're not the recipient of the direct investment, hopefully, certainly by the end of it, you'll have built many other relationships to raise your funds at a later time.
So these are the example of the topics that will be addressed in the weekly sessions. Investing 101, investment evaluation, business and performance metrics, negotiation valuation, due diligence. So these are all topics that are important to understand as you are going through this fundraising process, seeing how investors kind of make their decision before they decide to invest in a company. But it's the idea is also for you to be able to listen to these investor kind of questioning and trying to understand all these elements, so that you as an entrepreneur also can see quite transparently in a way how they reach a decision and an investment decision. So to give you a bit more detail on the investment itself, as mentioned by Graham, the idea is to for all the investors to pull together an amount of money which will be around 50K. So we are now still kind of, this is the target we're discussing with investors, and we hope to reach that amount, or maybe more. Then the investment itself will be made through an SPV, so a special purpose vehicle. So it's basically a company that is created for the purpose of investing in the winning company. And it's made like this so that the winning company, and you don't have kind of a series of very small investors on your cap table as shareholder in your company, but one entity and one person representing this pool of investors. So the selection criteria is quite important. The idea for the Yukon is to really support local SMEs, local entrepreneurs who are working on local impact. So place-based economic development will be the focus for a selection. But the idea is also to look at for companies who are looking also to the world, and so based in the Yukon, but also with an ambition to scale and to grow, with not having so having the Yukon as a place to work, but also looking for expansion in other geographies, depending on the business. So that's really will be seen on a case by case basis. Yeah, so the amount to raise, the way also this program is designed is to be a supporter for you to as a stepping stone in your journey towards raising funds. And so the 50K investment is the first, can be kind of also a first stepping stone in your in a bigger round that you might be thinking about, or a first step to raising funds in the future. I don't know, Graham, if you want to add something to that.
Yeah, that's great. I'm sure we'll get some questions in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so this is what we've done in the past. Graham.
Yeah, as you've already said, run 5 of these so far in different areas. Some have been national, some have been actually in very targeted areas, like part of Vancouver Island. And so we've had those 5 different winners, and this is the impact that's happened. We've got a challenge running right now in Vancouver for climate solutions. So as you can see, sometimes we tailor it by a region, and sometimes it's by a theme, but all the same basic principles around pooled amounts of money coming from a diverse group of investors, all excited and looking at entrepreneurs with solutions to local problems.
Great. So Graham, if you want to maybe, so either we can take a few questions now on the program itself, if there are any, feel free to write them in the chat or to come off mute and voice any questions that you might have before we move to discussion with Erin.
Yeah, good idea. Maybe we can do a few 3 or 4 minutes of questions now and then move to Erin. Maybe everybody's still thinking and digesting. I see Selena's been great in chat. She's Spring Help, if you're curious. Oh yeah, to share a bunch of links. So hopefully you're all being able to access those and sort of read about the program in parallel. Okay.
I do have one question actually. If you know,
yeah.
I'm just curious. You have this one corporation that's obviously going to be managing the investment. Is there an expectation that that corporation will have any ownership of whatever product, concept, business idea that's being created, or is it just an investment and they're kind of supporting it from afar?
Is there an expectation that they will play a role in the business, Jaden?
Like have any percentage, any ownership in that investment? Is there an expectation of that?
So the manager of the SPV, whether they have an ownership in it. Is that the question?
Yeah.
Good question. So Spring is the manager of the vehicle, and the company has a token share in it because we put the director forward, but it's not by design. It's not supposed to be a large ownership share. If anything, like it'll be a percentage point or something. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're the fund manager in a way. We are not. We're compensated by the fees that are coming in through the program, not on a percentage basis. Like we have no financial interest per se in it, so it leaves us as a neutral party for the entire program.
Okay.
Yeah, great. Should we go to Erin?
Yeah. So Erin, great.
Is that for me, Davina?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Hey, well, Erin's with us. I think I don't know. Are you? Oh, she's already spotlighted. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Hi.
Really appreciate it. So Erin was a participant in this program as a company. Wow, a year and a half ago already. The fall cohort of 2020.
T1. 21.
Yes.
2020, right? 21.
It's been a weird couple of years.
Yeah.
Easy to forget.
It's like I can't keep. I'm still writing dates on my forms and stuff as 2021. I haven't quite caught up. So Erin's a journalist and entrepreneur herself. She's founder of Discourse and then later founded Indigraph, which she presented to the investors and ended up winning the competition of. Got a lot of accolades in general and had a lot of great success with her different initiatives, including this one. Erin, why don't I let you do a quick introduction of yourself so everybody gets a sense of who you are.
Sure. Hi, it's nice to see all your faces. I'm a journalist based here in Vancouver, and I came through the mainstream media system. Was a journalist at the Globe and Mail and Reader's Digest at Maclean's, and got frustrated with some of the problems with that system. So very typical entrepreneurial story, and that's why I decided to jump into entrepreneurship 8 years ago. I founded Discourse Media, which operates a number of local news, digital local news outlets that deliver community news into underserved communities. So we operate the Discourse, Indigenews, in both of them in British Columbia. We're about to acquire a new media outlet called Sun Peaks Independent News, and we're launching a new outlet into Kamloops. And then worked on that for several years and sort of cracked the nut on our business model, and wanted to scale that to many of the hundreds of local news deserts and communities experiencing news poverty across Canada and beyond. That's where the idea for Indigraph came from. we spun IndieGraph out of Discourse Media, and it's a platform for small teams of independent journalists who want to be founding small digital independent outlets to serve their own communities. So that is, we provide technology, marketing, back office services, ad sales services and fulfillment, some capital, and I'm forgetting. Oh, and like training, and it's got a training element to it as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's me.
Great, welcome. And tell us a bit about where you were at, your fundraising journey for IndieGraph specifically. So taking us back a couple of years from founding, how did that go? Friends and family first, then who did you get on board, and how did the challenge kind of fit into that first part of your fundraising journey?
Sure. Well, I should say that our fundraising was really connected to Discourse, so I can't really answer that question without acknowledging Discourse, which is the parent company to IndieGraph currently. At some point, it won't be majority owner, but and I actually didn't know what I was doing at all when I first came in contact with Spring, and initially engaged with Spring as an entrepreneur that was taking training on capital, and it was super helpful in understanding and learning. As a, I talk about my streets MBA. I have no traditional business training, so that was really, really helpful. And then we were able to raise some friends and family and a little bit of impact investment through Discourse. When we spun IndieGraph out, initially we were able to launch it with revenue, we were revenue from day one. That's kind of one of the benefits of launching out of a company. And so we didn't take on investment until we had an opportunity to see if we had a bit of we had some traction, and we thought there was demand, and we'd validated that. Just driven by sponsorship revenue at first and some shared resources that Discourse was able to contribute. And when we decided to raise our first round of capital, the Spring Challenge was one of the first things that I thought about. I had gone through it once before with Discourse, and was, I think, a top 20. I think I got cut pretty early that time, but I learned a lot and I saw the value of it. So decided to go through it again, and this time it was successful. And what was wonderful about it was that it provided a framework. It provided a framework for me to really get my pitch together. It was almost like the best consulting that you can have to get your data room together, because they kicked my butt on so many things. And so, from one perspective,
they being Spring, Erin, or they being the investors?
The investors, and Spring holds the space, right? But they asked for a lot of information, and they really, they did a lot of due diligence and asked a lot of hard questions. And I think, from one perspective, from an entrepreneur who's always busy, it can seem like a pretty heavy lift, but on the other side of it, the benefit was really clear, and that's what we needed at that moment. So it felt very productive. So I think it both sharpened our strategy itself, our growth strategy, and helped us really prepare super thoroughly an impact investment data room and position that then we were able to go on and raise the rest of our round. So it was pretty important for that round. And yeah.
And I remember that you were raising in parallel. You were talking to other investors and other groups north and south of the border, if I remember right. So how did that fall into place? You were using some of the lessons from the challenge to talk to them, so other fell into place afterwards. What was that like, kind of managing different investors over the course of those months? Yeah,
so we had I had a Canadian lead before I came into the investment. I actually had two leads. I had a Canadian and a US lead, and so I don't know. For us, I've always not really fully understood what lead investor means. It means different things in different circumstances. So I'm just going to assume that a little bit of definition would be helpful. But for us, a lead investor can mean the party that puts the most cash in. It can also mean the party that kind of leads the due diligence and the setting of the terms for the rest of the the investors. So that was more the camp. So our Canadian lead didn't actually put a lot of money in, but they were key in like developing the documentation and helping negotiate the terms from a Canadian perspective. Whereas our US investor, which was the largest check size at that time, played that role in the States, but neither of them did very in-depth due diligence in the same way that Spring did. I mean, they did due diligence for sure, but they didn't really dig in the way that Spring did. So we kind of came in with a set of terms already and the standard due diligence there. And then I would say where Spring kind of intersected with that was like to deepen our due diligence, particularly around impact and our business model and our plan. And then that got us to about our minimum amount that we wanted to raise when we won the impact challenge. And we went on to actually be fairly oversubscribed and raise our valuation. And we did a second tranche the next year that we were able to command quite a lot higher price. So that we could take on more capital without diluting more. And I would say that was definitely in part because of just having much more thorough plan around impact and growth than we did kind of going into that process. So we ended up significantly oversubscribing our round.
Yeah, it's a happy
on both
story.
sides of the border. Yeah, there's Canadian and fairly good gender equity on the cap table too, which I'm happy about.
Yeah. Would love to hear questions from anybody on the call for Erin. And while you think of those, just maybe one more, Erin, for those that are out there thinking like, how much is my business like yours in terms of size and scale? Could you give some just benchmark numbers? So what was your monthly revenue when you were kind of starting the course? And then when you said you were oversubscribed, like what kinds of type of investment total did you get, if you're comfortable sharing that, just so people have a
I don't know if I can answer the question about what our monthly revenue was. Our monthly revenue from our like scalable business model, which is our revenue share with our publishers, was relatively low at that point. Like we were generally, most of our revenue was coming from sponsorships, but I guess maybe even just like an annual revenue number would be helpful just for
exactly.
Yeah. So in our first year in 2020, we did, I think, about $230,000 in revenue. Last year we did, the books aren't closed yet, but we did just under 800. And we're looking to double that again next year. So that's where we are at. We were founded in early 2020. So we're very new, and we're definitely like structured as, we're like a technology and services company. So we're not as scalable as just like a pure tech play, but we are structured as like a scalable, repeatable, like large growth impact company, which is very different than my other business.
And the investment round, how much did it turn out to be?
It turned out to be 1.2 Canadian dollars. So that's with conversions worked in million. Yeah.
Okay, just so everybody gets a sense. And yeah, through the challenges, we've seen companies raising less than that. We've seen companies that have ended up raising more, but it always has that theme of filling in a kind of a stepping stone, as Davina put it, or like a key kind of component that helps, get the data room together, get some validity around it, having the investors kick the tires. Yeah. I don't see any questions. Anybody want to come off mute with any questions?
I also have a question.
Of course, yes. I was assuming.
But Erin, I mean, what would be the advice you would give to someone who's kind of thinking about it and kind of trying to understand if this is a good fit for them? What do you think would be the good way forward?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the experience itself, if that is what you're looking for, like definitely if you're being asked to do a lot of analysis and stuff and that's not your number one priority right now, I totally get it. Like, entrepreneurs are so busy. But if that's what you're looking for, is to like learn about the investment space, get your pitch together, develop your business plan, understand the space more, it's a really good opportunity for that, regardless of whether or not you win or so I would definitely speak to that. And then on the like if you have worries about the deal itself, you don't have to commit to it until it's there. Like it's a two-way street, right? I don't know if this is what I'm supposed to say, Spring, but it is a two-way street. Like, it's not just the investors, putting you through due diligence, but you're also able to kind of learn about the deal and all of that. And I think asking lots of questions up front is fine, but it's not closed until it's closed. So I wouldn't, if you have big reservations, like, I would ask those questions throughout the process. Yeah, then in terms of if you are going to go for it, advice that I would have is yeah, I mean, I know your focus is about sort of place-based investment and stuff like that, but I know it was really important in ours to focus, like, talk about the business. You want to have strong fundamentals and a good strategy, but I think the thing that the companies that most shine through this process are the ones that get me most excited when I've watched the events, is those who can really tell their story of impact and have a really clear vision about the change that they're making in the world. So that would be my recommendation, not to shy away from that stuff and your own sort of unique story and connection to your business and passion.
Yeah, what I usually say to companies asking about the terms, like you said, Erin, is it's really beholden on the company to come with the terms to the investors. And there is, as you saw, Erin, there was no real protracted negotiation per se, because in your case you had the lead who had established the terms, and so the investors will be coming on board with the terms that you've set. And yes, there may be a little bit of wiggle room or questions they might ask around certain aspects of the deal, but the purpose of this course is not to set up a big negotiation. It's really to take the terms that are submitted by the companies, and then that becomes part of the process. You know, if the terms don't look good for one particular company, even though the investors might love them for other reasons, maybe their votes shift to a different company because they're not comfortable with those terms.
Yeah, I think that's totally right, Graham. And that's actually a little different than the first time I went through, where it was more of like a set terms, but I love that change. I think it makes a lot of sense. And that speaks to the question that is in the chat as well here about equity and non-dilutive. You could come, I don't know, you could speak to this, Graham, but you could come with a non-dilutive terms, right? Like some kind of loan-based grant or revenue-based financing or something?
Yeah, I'll answer this in two ways. So I want to just, I think, clear up what the SPV is. So it's quite simple in the sense that all the investors will be putting in between likely $2,000 and $5,000, and that all adds up hopefully to 50 or maybe more. And then Spring, just so everybody's clear, and it'll be 1 share per dollar to buy into that company called that SPV. Spring will then either, when all the dust is settled, assign ourselves 1 share, just so we have that token share so we can be the director and manage it. Or we will buy in with a little bit too. So in the past, we've put in $2,000 to maybe gross up the round or something, and then we're an investor in there too. But in neither cases, we're diluting anybody else of the investor group, if that makes sense. And then to the point of what your terms could be, we deliberately leave it quite open, and we're excited to see some innovation around this. So typically we see straight equity safes, which is an agreement for future equity, or convertibles, which means it's a debt that could later become ownership. But we're open to the investors are interested to see what else. So if you're proposing some sort of a revenue share agreement that it's not dilutive for you, propose that. We know, and we try to facilitate this discussion that different types of investments are appropriate for different types of businesses, and that's okay. We're not all tech businesses that are going to Silicon Valley for unicorn status. Far from it. We're a group of SMEs. We're hard tech. We're product-based companies, and so the different financing instruments are appropriate for different companies. So you can come to the group with whatever you think is best. Yeah, Erin did a convertible note, for example. Any other questions?
I can say one more thing that I would I would have asked if I was on the other side. And that is just like, what does the involvement look like after the deal? And this is another place that can both be an anxiety for entrepreneurs, but also can be valuable. But yeah, I mean, essentially what we did was there's 20 different investors that are involved in the SVP that invested in IndieGraph. When we closed the deal, I had a little survey that I sent around that asked kind of, who wants to receive, a more regular update and asks for help or whatever. Folks opted in on that. So I send out, and I've got a number of other investors too in the company. So this isn't only to Spring. I just do it as part of our, my natural, investor relations rhythm, send out an email to people on a monthly or quarterly basis, just with a little update and asks for help. And lots of different investors that were involved in the challenge have helped me on different things, because they're really wide range of experiences and business backgrounds. So everything from thinking through our data strategy to helping on HR to making introductions. There's been lots of different ways that they've contributed. So that's definitely been helpful in the after the challenge was closed as well.
Glad you brought that up. Barrett, question?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, Erin, thank you. I'm intrigued by the fact that you did it twice. First with Discourse, where you were eliminated pretty quickly, cut pretty quickly, and then went back again. And I'm curious, what would you say? Because you said you were in the top 20 or something, but obviously there were a number of aspirants. What's the value for those who sign up and go through the process and don't get the investment? What did you get out of it? I mean, you said it sets you up to do the next one, but can you give any more specific kinds of insights there? Why is it valuable even if you're not the one who gets the investment?
Yeah, I mean, for the first time I went through, because I wasn't one of the ventures that went through the full due diligence process, that benefit wasn't there. The benefit that would, and I think it's probably a different program for you guys than it is for in Vancouver. We got to pitch in front of a whole bunch of impact investors at an event where there was just a ton of people and all that kind of stuff. I think your guys's will likely be a little bit smaller, but yeah, no, I mean, it was just the experience of telling the story, having the practice, connecting with other entrepreneurs and talking to them, honing the pitch. That was the benefit that I got. And it wasn't a big lift for that first one either. It was just an opportunity to propose. And I did a couple, I think it was maybe 4 or 5 hours between the two different pitches I did and stuff like that. So that seems like a good investment. And I met some people that have been helpful to my network. So that would be about it on the first one. I should also say it might just be that I'm stubborn, Barrett, because my lead investor in the States rejected me before, and we went back again with IndieGraph. So I'm just not going to take no for an answer, I guess. So.
No, and I think it's also seeing what the other entrepreneurs do. I mean, so the other people pitching, you also learn a bit from that, no? But it's true that there's a kind of 3 layers, Barrett. I mean, also there's the companies who go and who pitch, and for sure, I mean, as Erin said, there is little investment, but also little return. But the return is limited. But then, so those who actually go through the program as what we call finalists. These are the ones who benefit also. Even if you're not the winner, you actually go through the program itself. And so Erin, which was great, was a winner for once she kind of passed it for this first step. But it's true, there's a lot of benefits also for those who are finalists. And actually, Graham can give some examples of what happened in the past. But sometimes also the other finalists, even though they don't win the final votes, they also can get investments, because they created relationships with some of the investors who were there, who kind of also believe in the project and the story, and get also, in addition to the non-financial benefits, they can get also financial investments through that.
Yeah, the investors determine who wins or who passes through based on majority votes. So there's always investors that end up investing in the winner who didn't actually vote for that company. And it's never been a problem before because they're excited for whoever is the winner. But it means that there are investors that wanted, maybe the second place or third place, and that facilitates that those additional investments that can come through too. So of course we can't promise anything. It depends on the investor cohort and what it looks like. But yeah, that going back to what I said earlier, we're trying to create those relationships. Well, thank you so much, Erin. It was great to see you again. Thanks for taking the time to tell us your story.
Yeah, of course. And anyone, feel free to reach out if you have any follow-up questions.
Thank you so much.
Bye for now. Super. So should we talk about next steps and dates and things like that?
So,
and I was just going to say, Lauren's here. Lauren, we had some introductions at the beginning from Lana. Just wondered if you wanted to say anything as we make this transition to the final stage here.
Hey, everybody. No, just want to reiterate the many welcomes that you've heard and how exciting it feels from our perspective as the Innovation Entrepreneurship team with Yukon University that we are building bridges, obviously in collaboration with UConstruct, but with partners as strong and experienced as Spring to help really diversify, I think, the ability for entrepreneurs to get from where they are today to where they're going around the world. What Spring is about to teach us are things that people have regular access to. And this is our launch into that, and to be able to continue to do what we need to do to get you all the supports to grow and scale in ways that the rest of the world does to grow businesses. So we love you, Team Spring and UConstruct, and I hope that this is a valuable session, and we're looking forward to your feedback. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Lauren.
Thanks, Lauren. So I just wanted to take you through the kind of the upcoming dates for the program. What we are suggesting, and I think could be very useful for this group, is that so for companies who actually sign up for the challenge, you will then get access to our learning management system with super interesting resources to understand the whole fundraising process. So I'm just sharing that here with you. I think you can see my screen. We have this investment readiness training program that we'll be happy to give you access to, and there's several modules to kind of foundations of capital raising, how to identify, find your ideal investor. So some very useful resources with videos, and so using kind of the experience that Spring has built over the years to advise startups who are interested in raising funds. And so if you sign up, you can have access to all these great resources, and also kind of finalize your final decision if you want to run or not. But you're welcome to use these resources. And we've planned a session on the 24th of February for those who are, once they've had a look at this, have some questions, want to clarify some things, and discuss about the fundraising process. Graham and I will be there to answer your questions and kind of help you reach your final decision as to whether you think this is a good fit for you. So the deadline for application then is February 28th. On March 1st, we'll have, can you still see my screen? No. Yep. Yeah, you'll have, there's an information session for investors. I think there are a few here, so we'll be sharing also from the investor side experience, and also invite a past investor of a Spring Challenge to participate here and answer questions. And then March 21st will be the kickoff. So this is when the program actually starts with a first session from 1 to 1:30 to 3:30 on March the 21st. And then a first pitch night on April 4th. And for those then who get selected into the finalist that we just mentioned, then weekly sessions every Monday from 4 to 6. from April 11th to May 9th. So these are sessions that are shared with investors. So it's entrepreneurs and investors together in the sessions, getting content, and also having a dedicated time to discuss and exchange and work on the due diligence that was mentioned. And this brings us to May 16th for the final pitch and the announcement of the winner. And so the pitch events are public events. So these are moments where where the investors will be there, but also the public that is interested. So this is also an opportunity for business, so spreading the word about what your company does. And so it's a great moment also for you if you want to invite whoever you would like to be there.
Yeah, sometimes we get upwards of 200 people. There are more. Totally depends on the community, and a lot of it comes from entrepreneurs having friends, family, associates, mentors come as well, and it's a fun atmosphere for sure, despite being online. Or maybe because of being online.
Actually, for those who are interested, next week we have one of those pitch events for a challenge, the climate challenge that we're organizing in Vancouver. So I think Selena can share the link. So if anyone's interested to see what it looks like,
that's a great idea.
You're welcome.
You'll see the real thing, at least the one that's going on in Vancouver, just to get a feel for it, and see some interesting companies as well. Yeah.
Any questions on this stage? Okay.
Right. Sounds like it's pretty good out there. Selena just popped the invitation for that pitch night for the Vancouver Climate Angels one. So check that out. Pop it on your schedule. And then I think you've also seen the application form for this. I'm sure Selena will put that back in the chat as well. You'll see it's relatively short. It's not in our interest to use too much of your time or make these things too cumbersome. So we've tried to keep that application form pretty short. Check it out and definitely reach out if you have any questions on that. Yeah. And then the final link, my God, we've sent you a lot of links. It's our fault, isn't it? We just keep telling Selena to put things in the chat. Is the feedback form. So just from this session itself, if you have any thoughts of what you liked, what could have gone better, that's how we improve these things. So thanks in advance.
We'll also be sending all the links in a follow-up email, just since there's been a lot. So if you've missed any, don't worry.
We will get to you one way or another. Sounds good, everyone.
Great.
Davina and I will just hang out for 5 minutes here. But if there's anything else, if there's nothing else, I should say thank you for joining.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I have a little